some of you know, in last week's episode, my sister Caroline came by the island to pay me a visit. And while she was here, she got up to some adventures of her own and cooked some delicious meals. Alright guys, so like I was saying, it's a pretty chilly day today, so I got the fire going. I also placed our eco fan on the top here. If you're wondering what this is, it's just a fan that you set on top of your stove to kind of spread the heat around a bit more. And I'm not sure exactly how it all works, but it's a pretty neat design where you don't need any electricity, batteries, anything. It just somehow, forms the heat into this area here, which spins the rotor once it gets hot enough. I just set it on here. Maybe, there you go. Well, yeah, just like that. And then it'll get faster and faster as it gets hotter. I just set it on and it's already running pretty good, but this just helps kind of even out the heat around the cabin, which is nice. Alrighty guys, so I just came in and checked on the freezer and stuff, and it looks a little bit warm in there. So with a little bit further looking into it, seems like one of our fuses is blown and I don't have a spare on the island, so I'm going to drive to the marina and check in the blue Jeep if we have some in there, and if not, then hopefully Chris, who owns the marina, has some spare ones for sale, because if we lose all that meat, then there goes 80% of our food supply. So what probably happened is I recently had to change the propane tanks, which I'll show you right over here. I had to switch the propane tanks because one of them ran out, and when I did that I forgot to check everything, so one of the fuses must have burst. Now we got both new propanes hooked up, so we're gonna have propane for another couple months, and I'm just gonna go get the fuse so then the freezer keeps running, and it should be a successful reset. Well, luckily we had exactly what I was looking for in the Jeep, some spares, so that saves a bit of time. We can get that freezer up and running as soon as possible. Don't want to lose all my steaks and stuff, but today's going to be quite a bit of food preparation and preservation with getting the freezer up and running again, but then also the garden has been blooming like crazy and a lot of it is ready for picking, and I need to do that sooner or later or else a lot of it will go to waste. So especially with the kale, which has been growing like crazy, need to get all of that up, and we'll show you how we make that last a bit longer in the fridge. And it's a pretty cool day, so I was thinking with some of those tomatoes that have been growing at the garden up here, could make some delicious tomato soup or something. That'd be cozy. It's pretty crazy that already this early on in the year, I mean it's getting later in the year now, but it's still pretty early for this kind of weather, but already I've been taking firewood inside and lighting fires inside the cabin at night and stuff, so it's pretty crazy. Can't say I'm complaining about it because I love that kind of weather, but it does make me a bit worried about firewood. Definitely need to keep working on that or else we're gonna have a big problem. Alrighty, so got the new fuse in and I could just hear everything kicked on. Check the freezer. Yep, she's running good. And now all my food isn't gonna go to waste. So yeah, propane plays a pretty big part to island life up here. We use it for nearly everything, and before we had the generator and solar panels and batteries, we ran completely off of propane. We use propane mainly now for heaters in the winter. We have a couple heaters in different rooms, but then also it runs our fridge, and that's the main one we have to keep going. We just get our propane in these 100-pound green tanks, and we can fill these up at the marina, or if we head into town we can fill them up there as well. And we usually get a pretty big stack of them going for in winter, just so that we don't have to haul them there and back too much. But right now we got 2 full ones, and this should last us quite a long time, especially since we haven't had to use any of the heaters yet or lighting, so it's just been the fridge. Yeah, like I was saying, we use it for the fridge, for heaters in winter, and then also for lighting. Back in the day, the propane lighting system was the only one we had in the cabin, and I still love it. Sometimes we turn those on just for fun because they're very cozy looking, and they got a little crackle noise, almost like a campfire sometimes, which just reminds me of my childhood coming up here. But yeah, now we got electricity, but the nice thing is if the power ever went out for some reason, we would still have a lighting system available. And then it also, of course, runs our stove and oven. So yeah, propane's pretty important. I had to switch one of the tanks out a few days ago, but other than that, I mean, they usually run for a very, very long time up here, so it's not really something we have to think too much on. But now that I'm up here alone, I mean, usually with all these sort of situations, I'm with my brother or father, and we all kind of work on it to get it all done. But this was my first time doing it by myself. It was just good. That's one of the best parts about living solo for a while, is just learning to be 100% responsible for the place you're living. And you can do these things all your life, but until you have to do them alone, you never really truly learn how to do it. So yeah, that is the propane system at the cabin. Good boy. Here's some of the beautiful tomatoes so far from our garden. I've just been collecting them over the past couple days, and tonight I'm going to make a tomato soup with them. I haven't actually tasted one yet, but they look amazing, so can't wait. Alright, so it looks like our horn peppers are starting to ripen. They're not quite done. The carrots are growing pretty good. We got quite a few jalapenos so far, and it looks like a lot more are ready. And even some of the cayenne peppers, which look amazing. Don't know too much about gardening, but I've always loved it, and it's always fascinated me. It's definitely something I'd want to get into more. Just such a neat skill. Yeah, it's just amazing how you can put a tiny little seed into the ground, and if you take care of it and put it in the right kind of soil, then it will grow you food. And nowadays, with modern markets and global transportation, we can have stuff that never used to grow here in Canada, like cayenne peppers and stuff like that, which is pretty neat as well. So just briefly, I wanted to talk a bit about the gardens we have here on the island, and just the process it's been to get them growing the way they are now. As you can see, we've got ourselves a mini forest here of all different types of herbs and spices and vegetables. But it wasn't always like this. It took us a while to get the soil to be just right. The soil here on the island is it's very clay based. If you dig down in some areas, you can actually get pure clay, which is nice for some things, but not for growing gardens necessarily. So for most of the soil, we actually got it from mainland. So off our island, there's a huge maple forest that's a little bit of a hike too. So in that maple forest, it had a lot better soil just all over the ground. So we harvested some of that without disturbing the forest, of course, and layered that in here with anything that could decompose into soil, like our bark clippings from when we're scraping logs, and just, you know, stuff like that, our compost. And yeah, it took a few cycles of doing that, but now we got ourselves perfect garden soil that's all natural from the island here. And that's what we're doing with the new garden that I built a couple episodes ago. We're just going to be letting that go at least until next year, and then it should be good for planting, and we'll get a whole nother row of vegetables growing over there. But I'm not sure what all of these are, because my mom's not here, but the main vegetables we have are beets, jalapenos, chili peppers, horn peppers, carrots, kale, green onions, squash, cabbage, broccoli. We've got thyme, rosemary, dill, basil, tomatoes, celery, and all this stuff. So yeah, there's quite a few things in there. Like I said, there's a lot that I can't name. But it does supply us with a large amount of fresh produce, which is amazing for a family of 5 with just the little gardens, because it's quite easy to maintain them being small like this. And we could definitely add bigger ones if we needed to. If we were going to spend another full year up here again, I think we definitely would, and get some more starchy produce growing, like potatoes and sweet potatoes. But for now, this is amazing, and it's supplying us with more than we need. A lot of this stuff, like the kale, we always give to family and stuff, because there is quite a lot of it. I've been harvesting the kale and using it in a lot of meals, and Caroline was just using it in one of her meals, quite a lot of it as well, and we haven't even dented the supply. So we're going to freeze as much of that as we can, and give away whatever else is left over. But yeah, that's a little bit of the gardens. This was our first garden system here, which we built when we added the addition to our cabin a few years ago. Then we added these 2 log gardens out here to give us a little bit more room. And then, like I mentioned, I just built another one. So now we have 3 ground gardens, these 2 kind of raised gardens, and then more of a flower garden over in the other side by the lake. So yeah, it's really brightened up the place. Before we had this, it was still obviously a beautiful cabin, but now when you walk here, everything's green and blooming, and it's really beautiful. Alright guys, I'm going to be trying to make tomato soup. I do have a recipe that I'm following, but I've never done this before, and it seems a little bit above my pay grade when it comes to cooking, but we'll see how it turns out. I think anything with these fresh grown island tomatoes is going to taste good, but we'll see. So yeah, this isn't going to be a step-by-step, since I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not really going to, you know, give lessons, but I will put the ingredients I used in the description, or send a link or something. I think that's probably good on tomatoes. Yeah, that's quite a lot. But I have no idea how much soup this will turn into. The nice thing is, even if it's more than I can eat, it's soup, so I can, you know, keep it in the fridge and cook it again whenever I need to. off the table. We got some thyme. Put in there. And we'll get some pepper. I like pepper, so we'll put quite a bit. Salt. And then some olive oil. That already smells good. So first we're gonna add some cream or heavy cream. I'm also gonna add some basil pesto. Again, I'm not doing anything, like I'm not measuring anything, I'm just putting whatever seems right. Because I've never made this before, but probably put a nice bit of that in. Alrighty, looks good, smells delicious, and I'm not my mother or my sister when it comes to cooking, but it looks good, so hopefully I did a good job and hopefully it turned out okay. Let's see. Oh wow. Wow. I'm actually pretty proud of myself. That turned out amazing. That's one of the best tomato soups I ever had. I just wish I had some cheese, some Parmesan cheese, or even normal cheese, because I wanted to make, I actually got a beautiful loaf of sourdough bread, but only realized when I got home that I was completely out of cheese. So yeah, that would have made this even better if I had some Parmesan cheese to go over, or a grilled cheese to dip into it. Even some meatballs to put inside of this would be amazing, but luckily there's more than enough. There will even be leftovers for when Pete gets here tomorrow. And as soon as I get some cheese, I'm going to be doing this. Oh, and also I have tons of tomatoes, and there's a lot more sitting out there ripening, so I can make this again, which I definitely will be doing. This is really, really good. Alright, so I'm just going to finish the rest of my soup. I'm probably going to get a cozy black and white movie going with Lando. I'm just kind of enjoying my last night alone up here. I'm obviously really looking forward to seeing Peter again and hearing about his travel stories in Africa, but this was a lot of fun, and I definitely learned a lot cooking wise, first of all, but just with maintaining an island and just being, you know, alone and self-sufficient. So I really am thankful for this time alone up here, but like I said, I'm looking forward to picking up Pete tomorrow. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. I know it was a lot of cooking, but hopefully you guys still enjoyed it and even learned some recipes. I'll try and find the recipe for this, although I was kind of winging it, and put it in the description. And then I'm not sure about the recipes Caroline made, but I think you could probably follow along pretty closely just by seeing what she did. And of course, as always, a big thank you to those of you who have subscribed to my Patreon channel. It really means a lot, and your support really helps with this channel. And for those of you on YouTube, thank you for all your comments and advice you've been leaving me. That's very useful information, and I love hearing what you guys think about the videos. So yeah, just a big thank you to everybody watching. And as always, I will see you guys next week.